feet short.
Well.
Guess who's late to the panel?
Matt and Burnie.
The first one of them gets here actually gets the seat. The other one has to stand the whole time.
Yeah, screw 'em.
Dude, do we have candy?
Yeah, dude, there's candy at the panels this year. It's dope.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to the Red versus Blue panel. Let's go down the line. My name is Miles Luna. I was a writer and director on RVB for a little bit, and then we handed off to a beautiful person that you'll meet a little on down the line here in a bit, but now I watch it and I go, that was really funny and it's great. Hey, who are you?
I'm Kyle Taylor, director of Machinima. You know, I need to get
Don't give it a blowjob, just talk into it.
But yeah, my name's Kyle Taylor, director of Machinima, doing all the head bobs and shit with this guy. Yeah.
My name is Josh Anellis. I work on Machinima as well.
Hello, my name is Joe Nicolosi. I took the reins from this guy.
That's quite the reception there. And I'm Gus. I just did the voice of Simmons. That's it.
Oh my God. Thank you all for coming out. I know it's been a crazy day. I know some of the lines have been nuts, but hey, we're gonna hopefully have a lot of fun here and it'll all be worth it. And we thought we could start by watching an episode. Oh wait, look who decided to show up.
Do you have a tardy slip, sir?
You're so considerate.
What's up? This is just in case the other one shows up.
Yeah, you're right here, man. I don't smell too bad.
All right. Oh, you want that Coke? You want some of the Coke? Here you go. Hey, who are
Matt,
you?
you have to
What do you
introduce
do?
yourself.
We just did intros. Who are you?
Hey, I'm Matt.
Oh, okay, there he is. Oh, I see. You were vlogging, huh?
I have to pee.
Burnie Burns, everybody. And that's it. Thanks for coming out, y'all.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Joe. In case someone was stupid enough to come here and not watch last week's episode, do you want to give us a quick TLDR?
Yes, so we're going to watch episode 15, which comes out in a few days. If anyone didn't watch episode 14, all you have to know is the Blues and Reds are bad guys, and the good guys finally found out. And before they were finally imprisoned, they launched Lopez's head into deep space.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and cut the live stream. Sorry, everybody watching online. Don't worry, you can see the episode soon, and then we're gonna do a cool Q&A when we get back. Hey, please don't record this, because that's shitty. And will also be shitty quality, and nobody wants to watch it.
If you see someone next to you recording it, knock that shit out of their hands.
Yeah. And shout, "Stuffed!" at the top of your lungs. If you actually do that, that'd be fucking amazing. All right, hey, y'all want to watch the episode?
Yeah, let's watch.
Let's do it. Let's run it.
Hit it.
Joe Nicolosi, everybody.
Cool. I'm really glad you guys got to watch that episode. If I could choose one all season to watch with the crowd, it would be this one. So thank you guys.
It's really, one of my favorite things about this season has been getting to watch Joe do his fucking thing with Red versus Blue, and I think it's been great. And it's also been really fun to see similar tendencies we have, one of which is mouthing the lines of characters while watching the episode, Joe.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you did it like 5 times throughout that thing. No, it's super cool.
I actually do that in the mixing booth, but I always have like Topo Chico in my mouth. So it ends up everywhere. It's true.
So really, as per usual, we're gonna keep this pretty cash and just do some like Q&A and we can talk about stuff. At some point, we might have somebody drop by. If they're already here and backstage, they should come out now. Oh, nope, that segue didn't work. Cool. But yeah, I think we've got some microphones set up. If you have questions and you'd like to approach it in orderly
So
fashion.
is Lopez's head as the Enterprise the dumbest thing ever in Red versus Blue?
I tried.
Follow up, is it the greatest thing ever in Red versus Blue? I think I felt like, you know, whenever I would record audio this season, there were many times in the booth when I would just crack up and I'd be laughing at lines, and I would say, God, this is the stupidest thing I've ever read. And Joe's standing right there, and I'm like, I mean that in a good way, you know that, right, Joe? Like, I'm not saying that bad. Like, it's really legitimately funny.
Cool.
So now that I'm done recording audio and I've been telling you how stupid you are all season, I'm letting you know it's actually a compliment.
Cool. Well, yeah, I guess, screw it. Let's just start with questions. We can start over here on the left.
Miles, I'm gonna blame this on you because
What
you
the
wrote
fuck?
these seasons. Yeah, exactly. Where is the freelancer pilot 479er? Where has she been? Also, sorry, Burnie, because you wrote that season too.
What's that?
Sorry, Burnie, you wrote that season too, so this is on you.
Oh, right. I just created the beloved character. But thanks for the shout out, bud. So I'm going to throw Miles under the bus because he threw me under the bus with the fucking drunk RVB episode.
It was so worth it.
One of the season arcs for season 14 was going to be a 479er arc written by and probably directed by Carrie Shawcross was going to do it. Just didn't have time because he's lazy. And he's working on a show called Ruby. So now that Miles maybe put out the Drunk RVB episode, maybe now Miles has to make the 479er miniseries. How about that?
Yeah!
That was the best question ever. It's almost like we arranged it, wink.
All right, everybody got your camera phones. All right, Carolina, you better hold on tight. I don't remember really the voice of this character, so here we go. Fuck, that was awesome. There, that's about the budget we have for the 479 episodes.
Still had a better plot than the Drunk RVB episode.
Okay, before we move to the next question, too, our general question etiquette is in regards to questions. No bummers. Let's all be here to laugh. If you got a really long story, that's awesome. We appreciate it. We'd like to get through more questions, so please maybe don't. No spoiler questions, because come on, fuck you. And that's pretty much it. Be polite to everybody else. So yeah, cool. Thank you for that question. Oof, let's go over here.
Hello.
Hi.
So, quick question for Joe, because this is your first RVB panel, right? About Dylan Andrews. She's been arrested a bunch of times. What was the first thing she was ever arrested for?
Great question. Technically, though, this is my second RVB panel. Last year I was here, I sat in the back. And I thought one day, just so you know, that probably means that whoever's going to direct season 16 is somewhere in the audience.
Look under your seats.
Look under your seat for that golden ticket!
Is Carrie in the room? Carrie Shawcross, anybody? You're the new director. Nice.
Oh, hey.
Hey, look at that guy.
Hey, hold on. There's someone here. Hey, Gray. People were like, they seemed a little excited to see Locust.
Only a little.
I thought he was done. Yeah, when Joe started talking about, he started asking me a couple of questions months ago, like, where are you going with this? And it's like, well, you know, I've got this vision of Locust and some things that I want to do with them. Yeah, it's, I don't want to get too spoilery, but there's some cool stuff coming up.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no, glad for him to come back. This has been great. But
Do you have a thing you want to talk about?
yeah, hey, I am absolutely being a rude asshole and crashing the panel real quick because we wanted to come talk to the RVB audience for just a minute. I wish there was some way that we could have done this absolutely simultaneously, but we talked about a little something that started at the Ruby panel earlier today. We wanted to come out and talk to you, the RVB fans, that also might be into a little something. It's, I don't say it lightly, that is because of everybody here watching Rooster Teeth stuff and watching the stuff that RT Animation puts out that lets us keep doing what we do and lets us sustain RVB and lets Ruby keep going. And occasionally we go a little crazy and we want to try something new again. So we wanted to come straight to you and make sure that you guys were some of the first to know that we're making something that we think you might want to check out. If the person running tech can go ahead and run the video. Do they have the thing? Do they have the file?
Spoiler
Oh,
alert,
please.
it's the serial. It's the
So
serial.
I'm just going to run this on my phone. So Rooster Teeth Animation's going to make a mech show. If you've been following RVB for years, if you like big concept science fiction, if you liked everything about the Freelancer saga, if maybe you checked out Ruby, wasn't exactly your thing, I hope that you start to check out Genlock. There's some more details that'll be starting to come out over the next couple of months. It's coming soon. It does not mean this year. Anyways, we love you all. Thank you for letting us do what we do, and we hope that you'll check it out. It's called Genlock. Thanks.
Boom!
They have a book. I don't know what that book's called, but they have a book filled with like all the Genlock ideas.
Yeah, it's the Bible.
And I think I spent 2 hours in Gray's office poring over every page of that thing. I was like, this is badass. It was before we knew if we would be able to do it or not. I was like, I hope we make this. This sounds fucking awesome. I was super excited when I saw him wearing the shirt this morning. I was like, are we doing that? Are we talking about that? It's like, yeah, I'm hyped.
Yeah, Teddy found my copy of the Bible in the car. That's what it's called. It's called the show Bible. And he found a copy of it and read through it in the back seat while we were going somewhere. And now he asks me about it constantly. I'm so grateful that we were finally able to talk about Genlock publicly. You guys are going to absolutely love. Rooster Teeth Animation is making a mech show. Come on.
Yeah, it's Gray's wonderful brain baby, and we're all gonna be working on it to make something really fucking cool, and we're super excited. While we're on the topic of super badass space warriors, who wants to follow that shit up with their question?
Hold on, wait. We didn't actually finish the previous question.
Oh shit, that's right, what was it?
Yeah, the question was, what was the first time Dylan was arrested? And it was actually, she was a very intrepid high school journalist and was arrested for breaking into her principal's office and releasing faculty reports to the school newspaper.
That was a fantastic question.
I had a lot of time to think about the answer.
Cool. Let's go over here. Oh, sweet cosplay.
Thank you. Hey guys, my question is to Joe. What made you decide to do the side effects of Freelancer on the Simulation Troopers with the blues and reds?
One more time, sorry, I didn't think I heard you.
What made you decide to focus a bit of your story on the effects of Freelancer on the Simulation Troopers?
This is a great question. It was actually pretty early in the process. I was sort of rewatching Red vs. Blue, and my favorite season is season 8. And especially the ending of season 8 is really magical to me because it's sort of the moment they step up and stop being a bunch of like coward idiots and start acting like real heroes. And there's like a defining moment in that season, and I thought like, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if there was this other group of people that decided to do the opposite thing in that same situation? So this is kind of what that season's all about. But yeah, great question.
Thank you. Let's go over here.
You're talking to the silver end.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Gus.
Now,
So
you're
very
struggling
helpful.
over there, man. Don't come at me with the sass.
Gus, did you not hear Miles' rule about staying positive?
Oh, that doesn't apply to us. No, that applies to them. We're like Congress. We're exempt from whatever the fuck we want.
Well, I guess this is for most of the directors with this. What's the most difficult character you've had to work with, each of you, in your own opinion?
For me, it was Caboose, because where do you even start with that guy? Caboose is really hard to write for because he's, like, on a surface level, like, he seems like, oh, yes, bubblegums and rainbows all the time, and I can never be understood. And you're like, oh, he's adorable, he's cute, I love him. But you also have to remember, he's also a murderer and incredibly jealous and talks to machines. Incredibly possessive. Like, he's got a lot of layers, and none of them make sense. So it's really hard. It took me a long time to learn to write Caboose, and a lot of it was in part help from Burnie and Matt and being like, no, close, but not quite.
For me, it'd be about 14 years ago. I said, hey, it'd be really funny if that robot got stuck on the Spanish setting for a couple episodes. That'd be kind of funny. And then here I am 14 years later, still offending every Spanish viewer that we have.
For me, I have the hardest time writing Donut. I don't think in entendre as much as maybe other people do. So I always make like a cheat sheet when I'm writing any of his lines. I just fill like a piece of paper with like boner, stiffy, hard, and I try to write the line that way. And one day Miles tweeted a photo from the writing desk, and I could see the corner of the page. I'm like, oh God, thank Jesus.
Can we make that an insert into the DVD? Just like a liner.
Stiffy, hard, yeah.
Matt?
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, I actually really love writing all the characters when I get the chance to, because I think they're so like much fun and so clearly defined that it's always like having a conversation with friends when you sit down to do it. And I find a lot of times, like, once you get going on an idea, like, it's almost like you know what all the characters are gonna say, and just getting to the end point is like, I don't know, really satisfying. I wrote the finale of last season, which was a lot of fun because I feel like a lot of the Red versus Blue characters are, like, in small ways are based on us and little things, I mean, conversations that Burnie and Jeff and Gus had, I think, led to some of the original episodes and arguments that they had. So it was fun to kind of like have the personality and the meta personality cross over with one another. So.
Real quick, machinima guys, like, are there characters or like things that come up pretty frequently in scripts that you're just like, oh God, not again?
When all the characters are in the same room talking to each other, because we have to have all the Xboxes on, and we have to figure out, okay, how are we going to shoot this so that it doesn't look boring? If a character has a really wide visor, like Caboose, because then you're like, is he looking directly at the camera? Is he looking off to the camera? I can't tell. Same thing with Locust. Josh?
Anytime Doc goes into O'Malley mode, he's such a caricature of, like, that character, and he's so dramatic. So it's like, I got to think of, like, how does he emote with just, like, the simple head bobs that we have?
It's like, you laugh, but like, that's totally legit. Like, Dr. Gray and the Chorus Church are like, she's much more spastic than a lot of the other people, and then Locust was always very slow and spooky and scary. So there is an art. It's in the cinema. Great question. Thank you.
I want to follow up on something that Matt said as well, talking about the early inspirations. Like, the warthog conversation was something that we actually talked about, the car looking more like a big cat than a warthog. But actually, one of the people doesn't get enough credit for being one of the early inspirations for Red versus Blue as a whole is Frank, who is the DM for Heroes and Halfwits, where he was awful at Halo, and Jeff and Gus would always put him on my team because I would sit there and scream at him nonstop.
That was back before online. We had to connect with the system link, so you all would be in one room, and we'd run a long Ethernet cable to another room, and from our room we could just hear, Frank!
Shoot him! No, shoot them, not me!
Next question.
So my question is, do most of the sound effects we hear come from within the game world, or do you guys have like special libraries that you use to be able to create the sound of the world of RVB?
I'm looking at the sound mixer like, I know the answer to this.
Chris, do you want?
Yeah, I think some are from the game, and I think some we add. Is that, yeah, thumbs up, I got a thumbs up. Some are from the game, and some we add from sound effects archives.
Is there like a crazy elaborate story at all, Chris, you want to extrapolate on? Or nah, that's pretty much it, he covered it. The basics?
Just the basics of it.
I remember, because we used to have a library of like a ton of Halo sounds, from like Halo 1, 2, a little bit of Halo 3.
And some specific red versus blue sounds too.
Like we've got the whoop, 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 whenever somebody calls. The wrench. Oh, there's a very specific wrench sound.
Yep.
But when we moved to Halo 4, there was a lot of times when we had to go in and like you do on a live action film set, you go and you get room tone. Halo 4 is so in depth and like has a lot of like the sound design for it's really awesome. So at first it was like, cool, we can just get room tone for the Gulch, and then we're like, shit. When you hear the waterfall, you can hear the waterfall. Damn it, they thought of everything. So then we had to there was a lot of time spent actually going around and capturing sounds and like certain explosions and things like that, since they changed up a bunch of stuff in Halo 4. But
it's really windy in Halo 4. Lots of wind.
Yeah, that does it. Fuck yeah, let's kill people. Cool. I love Halo. All right, let's go over here.
So hi, first of all. So I had a question, since like RVB has been going on for like 14 years now in regards to writing. Is there ever like a challenge of really trying to keep track of everything that's happened so you don't, like retroactively mess something up?
Never.
Yeah, heaven forbid you reach a plot hole.
You know how we said that Genlock has that big, thick Bible of everything that takes place in the series? Our version of that for Red vs. Blue is Joe's dirty sheet that he keeps on his desk that he writes boner on over and over again.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, learn some lessons along the way. I think I always advise like writers when we go over scripts and things like that. Joe could probably tell you some of the things we kind of like hammered him on like early on, but one of the big ones is for me, don't ever say a number of any kind unless there's a reason to say the number. And that includes a date. If you say a date or an amount of time or a number of people who are doing something, then it locks things in that you don't need to lock in. So unless there's a really a necessary reason to do that, never ever put a number out there at all.
So now you've trained everyone to pay attention and scrutinize every single number.
It's the internet, they already do that. If you do find yourself though in a situation where it's like, maybe you can't remember everything, or maybe like, oh, you're not sure about the timeline, did you actually accidentally create a plot hole? Just make Eddie Rivas watch through the entire thing and document everything, and then make a fan guide, and there you go, now you're set. Yeah, it's hard making sure that you don't accidentally make plot holes and stuff, especially with something this enormous at this point.
Yeah, I have more of a problem with doing things that have been done before and not always realizing it. And then Miles is like, we did that. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's a callback. That's a lot.
I felt like we got into a lot of trouble with that this season, where I think Joe wanted to punch me in the face after several writing meetings where it's like he would pitch something that was like a great idea, and I would go, oh, we just did that in Laser Team 2, we can't do that. Or something else. There was like, I want to say you pitched like 5 things that I was like, oh, that's also in Ruby this season, or what it was.
It was like the whole plan for the ending.
Yeah.
Was like all from all the other Rooster Teeth shows. People can't sleep for like 5 days.
Even earlier, right before we came to this panel, you and I were talking about theoretical red versus blue stuff. And I said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they did this? And you look at me and go, yeah, we did that last season.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, right, you are correct. I already forgot from one season. I'm an idiot.
Great question, thanks.
Oh, I don't like the sound of my voice.
That's great.
Just do this.
Okay. My question is 2-part. 1, what was the process that went into finding writers for season 14's anthology? And 2, how many stories were there, and what were they that you liked and you really wanted to do, but you just didn't have the time or the budget?
Oh, jeez. So as far as the first one goes, we looked at a bunch of our friends, like, you know, Freddie W, like we were really big fans of the Game Grumps. Like we really looked out at people that were doing stuff that we thought was cool and stuff was funny, and essentially we're like, hey, you up? What's going on? And some of them, yeah, just slid into the DMs. But I mean, honestly, that was it. It was like people that we'd wanted to work with before and maybe hadn't had an opportunity to. But really, it was like season 14. Like I know it wasn't everybody's favorite because like it didn't continue the story right from season 13, which with a show that's been doing that for 13 seasons, I understand. But like you also got to understand, we had so much fun with that season because essentially we just had a box of Space Marine toys and went over to all of our friends and said, "Who wants to play?" And then a bunch of them were like, "Oh, oh, oh!" And then that's what we did. It was super fun. And it also allowed us to do things that we would normally do, like a Crayon episode narrated by Caboose. And a stop motion one by Joe. And I mean, we loved that episode. And I remember like all of the writers on season 14, like remarkable to work with. And it was a super cool learning experience for me as well. But I remember like I got Joe's script in one night and I was like, okay, like at this point I'd gotten used to like, all right, most of these scripts that we're getting, like some of them are really close, some of them like need a lot of help. And I read through Joe's and I was like, holy shit, this dude gets it, man. Like it was super fun and I was just sitting on my sofa just laughing and it was super, super fun. And like everybody that contributed that season, we were super grateful. The other question, I guess, was which other stories we had that we didn't have a chance to do?
There's the horror one.
Oh God, yeah.
There was like 4 or 5 that we didn't get to. The 479er thing we talked about earlier, but there was a horror one that I was really excited to do that we had to back burner. Hopefully we'll come back to at some point.
Yeah, Gray.
That was Gray's thing.
Gray had a phenomenal idea. Cause like, again, this was a season where we could just do whatever. So we were like, yo, what if we took a super hard left turn and actually put out a really scary CG episode about some crazy shit in space? And I don't want to talk too much about it in case we ever do have an opportunity to make that short. But like, we were super excited. But again, with everything that Rooster Teeth is doing these days, it didn't just come down to like budget and time, but also like the time of people. Like Gray runs the animation department, and you know was also working on new shows and stuff. So it's like, you know.
And he used up all the resources on Mercs.
And the Ruby trailer. There's that. Kyle, you had an idea for a story.
Oh yeah. It was just a little backstory for York in between.
It was super fun too.
Yeah, it was in between when he left Freelancer and when Wash finds him again, and it was just like it was the same thing with horror. There was just like Miles like, hey, there's not going to be any resources. It's not going to happen.
But
man.
don't give it away
Yeah.
in case we have an opportunity
Right.
to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was this fun action and like it's York. Everybody loves
Yeah.
York, so it was. And no, it was
just
super
a fun
cool.
little short. So
I'm
yeah.
trying to remember if there's any others. I'm sure there was like 1 or 2 more, but I'm totally blanking on them right now. But yeah, it's like I hope we get to do another anthology or something at some point. It'd be super fun. Great
Another
question.
14 years.
Yeah, maybe in another 14 years. Season 28, you heard it here first.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, question for Joe. I am absolutely loving this huge blowjob to film history and great movies of the past.
Oh, thank you so much.
I've caught on so many little references and I'm loving it. What was the inspiration behind doing that? Why film history for this season?
That's a great question. Hopefully I can answer it in a fairly concise fashion. I first watched Red vs. Blue in my sophomore year of college in my animation class and fell in love with it.
They teach that shit in school?
They did. It was amazing. But for me, Red vs. Blue and being a film school idiot are a little bit tied together. And I knew when we had this new character, Dylan, that she would need a camera guy to kind of go with her, and I wanted it to be an absurd character, someone really stupid. And so I thought, who's stupider than a film school student? And decided to throw him in along for the journey. And yeah, just personally, my own personal voice and taste in cinema, I love movies like, Hot Shots Part 2, and Hot Fuzz, and The Naked Gun, and Airplane. I like movies that use other movies for their humor, and I really wanted to explore that a little bit with Red vs. Blue, partially because it hasn't been done before, and it was a little bit of new ground to try to ski on.
Now, I'd like to add to that story. Joe is a remarkable encyclopedia of film knowledge and references. I'm not. It's been pointed out on The Spot and the Rooster Teeth podcast. I was the worst film student ever because there's so many classics that I just haven't seen. Because I watched Cartoon Fridays and Nicktoons. I didn't watch The Godfather. I read The Godfather. I haven't seen it, or a lot of. I saw the Animaniacs parody of it. Yeah, no, that was great.
Yeah, it's a fun fact. Miles has never seen a movie.
Yeah, it goes against my beliefs. No, that's not true. But there's so many times when I'm like reading a script and I read a line, I go, that's probably a fucking reference. I'm gonna Google that line. Oh, the French Connection. How very lovely, Joe.
I started having Jack say Blade Runner after his quotes, just so Miles would know what movie it was from.
I've seen Blade Runner. I just forgot about it. So. Can I tell them about the line you put in?
Oh yeah, do it. It's not gonna be in the final cut.
I know. So there's one difficult thing about working with Joe, and it's sometimes that I can't tell when he's joking. And our art director.
All the crew is like, yeah.
Joe was also kind enough to cast me as another Red vs. Blue character. Obviously, I've done Felix, who's a scary, evil bastard. And now I'm also Cronut. I guess he is also an evil bastard in a way. I'm trying to think of a way to give it without the context, but he put in a line where he's like, essentially, the line's like, my name's Cronut. I've never seen a movie anyway. I'm much more of a video games and anime guy. Also, my real name's Miles Luna. I was sitting there reading this email going.
And your note was, in the script, because he writes notes when I send him rough drafts, his note was, Joe, it's not just anime, I'm also a gamer guy. And so I changed the line to, I'm also a gamer guy.
That was well deserved. It was really funny, and you still made me record it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think are we over here now?
No,
over there. I'm wrong. Sorry. Yo.
At what point did you decide that you needed to use animation to continue the story of Red vs. Blue?
I think I heard. At what point did you decide to use animation instead of just machinima? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Y'all want to take it?
Yeah, actually, the first attempts at animation in Red vs. Blue were in a separate series, which we called Animated Red vs. Blue, which is kind of weird to say. And that was to differentiate the web show from what was going to be a television show. We had a television show in development for Red vs. Blue, but we didn't want to make it the web show. So we made, you can find it online. It's actually on the season, what's it on? Is it 14?
It's on season 8, and then we also
first episode.
It's on season 6, I think.
But we showed it during season 14 as well, right?
That was the premiere. We added to it.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of mileage out of that. But we made an animated version, like a Saturday morning cartoon version of it. So that was actually our first attempt. We just wanted it to be different, and then the reason why we started incorporating animation into the Machinima show online was kind of along the same lines. Because Red vs. Blue used such an efficient method for producing animation, it was easily replicable by other people who were inspired by it. But what that ended up creating was this huge glut of Halo Machinima shows that new viewers couldn't differentiate what was Red vs. Blue and what wasn't. So we felt after 8 years of just kind of being off the shelf that we should do something that's a little bit, different than everything else that's out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, I'm Adam from New Jersey. I noticed a pattern in the season 15, the same pattern that was used for season 13. When the supporting character it turned out to be a villain, and when in season 15, the supporting character becomes aggressive, and later on it becomes the reveals to be the villain. How did you pull that off in your screenwriting to make all the fans here anticipate for something new and get all jittery and theoretic about it?
I think that I sort of felt like when I wrote episode 8, as I was writing it, when Temple gets introduced, I'm like, oh boy, no one's gonna think he's telling the truth. They're definitely gonna know he's a bad guy. And so I wasn't entirely convinced that it was gonna be all that much of a surprise, but I didn't necessarily need it to be all that big of a surprise. Does that answer your question at all?
I guess that makes sense when you're trying to write something new.
Yeah.
Sweet. Question answered. Thanks, dude.
We had, so after we started doing dialogue for Red versus Blue 15, I think one of the first times I was in the booth, started talking to Joe about how we all used to have knockoff names for our characters that we would use every now and then, like back in the early days. And like Simmons, knockoff Simmons was always Simons. And I think Sarge was Surge. Church was Crunch, I think was your knockoff name. And then Griff was Grief. And I don't remember, Tucker I think was Fucker. And I don't remember what Donuts was for the life of me. But so it was cool to finally see like the Blues and Reds coming in and kind of like parallel that same idea independently.
Yeah, when Matt said Surge, that's when that character got named, because he mentioned that. I'm like, ooh, that's good.
It's the cast that's been voicing the Blues and Reds too has been really phenomenal. I gotta give a shout out to Kirk for Loco. Oh my God, his caboose voice is unbelievably good.
Yeah,
super
Kirk
cool.
Johnson is, he was in Laser Team, and he's been in a bunch of other Rooster Teeth stuff. Crunch Time. I've known him for like 10 years in this town. We were both servers at the Alamo Draft House together, so like we kind of grew up in the scene together. I love that dude. He's real funny. I'm gonna stop talking.
Hi there. Wait, are you sure you're not supposed to blow this mic? Because you need to get close to it. Anyway,
Miles, as someone who's very emotive, I can't help but imagine you looking over Joe's shoulder as he's writing, kind of like biting your nails really nervously, like just, oh gosh, is that how you feel? How did it feel really to give up your reins, and did you have a kind of a thing in the back of your mind, like the backseat driver?
So it was really cool. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this at some point too, in regards from going to like 10 to 11 and stuff. But like, no, it was awesome because like, at first, one of the things I really loved about season 14 was that was the first time I was working with writers on stories that weren't mine. With Red versus Blue, like, the Chorus trilogy, like it was a story that I came up with and got the blessing from Matt and Burnie, and then I was able to do what I thought would make a cool story. And with Ruby, working with Monty and Carrie, it was us being like, cool, this is our story, this is how we want to tell it. But when another person comes to you with their story, my job is not to tell their story the way I would do it at all. My job is just to make sure that it doesn't break anything, that the characters sound like the way they're supposed to, and that it's not, too crazy out there, and it still feels like Red versus Blue. And that was a really cool experience. Like, working with all those guys during season 14, you see, I remember like Joe, for instance, Joe's scripts, you can tell Joe cares a ton about the visuals because of the description that he puts in. Then, the Funhouse guys, it's all about the dialogue. They'll put in like the minimum amount of description. And then, the Game Grumps write different. And then like Freddie has different stuff. Like everybody has what they consider to be important to their story. And I just need to try and hold a megaphone up to that. So watching Joe do his thing, like there's certain like character moments or jokes that like I prefer, and then there's some that he prefers, and I don't want to like get rid of those at all because I want it to sound like Joe wrote it because he did, and it was awesome, and it was really interesting too seeing him struggling with the same things that I did. Like Caboose really early on was super hard, and Donut too. I wasn't great at writing Donut for a long time. Burnie, you were constantly helping out with the innuendos and stuff. You would always say like, hey, this scene works. You missed an opportunity for a joke here. And it's like, oh, cool, yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of that stuff. So it was really cool. And I don't know, this feels weird, but like, I don't know, I was like proud because I don't know. Joe's a super cool dude, and it's like, hell yeah, he's kicking ass, and it's been super fun watching you grow just throughout this season, and then getting to watch the episodes. So, hats off to you, man.
Thanks.
So you want to talk about like going from season 10 to season 11 to going to the course trilogy? Let me start off by saying I've never been proud of Miles, ever. No, it was a similar experience actually because Miles was a guy that we had identified as someone who could possibly take over writing and directing of the show. And we had a similar opportunity where Miles wrote a small arc for the Freelancer saga that was very, very popular between Carolina and York, how they met, their backstory. And so we got to kind of test that in front of the audience, and it worked really well. We all liked it a lot. And then, I think the big test for a lot of people is, can they write the original, like the Blood Gulch characters, And so that's the kind of thing that's always tough. But we always wanted to work with Joe. I've known Joe for probably 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And always wanted to work with him, and then got a chance to work with him on 14, and it just, it was easy to go forward with Joe after what he did for season 14. And like Miles said, when you're turning over those writing responsibilities, you'll see stuff that comes across all the time that you're like, oh, I don't know if I do it that way. But like Miles said, you're not trying to like make them write, to clone your writing. You want to see what they're going to do. And that's why you get new people in, you get new voices. It keeps things fresh, and you have cool moments that we would have never come up otherwise. But it's a natural progression of the series. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, y'all are awesome.
And also, sometimes your criticisms get put into it. We were reading one of the first sit-down read-throughs of, I think, the first 5 episodes, and Dylan Andrews was a strong female character, and it was awesome, and then she meets up with Sister, and they're talking for a while, and then she asks, where are the other guys? And I go, at the end of the table, I go, well, there goes the Bechdel test, and Joe just goes, writes it, and he puts it in as one of the lines from the cameraman, as the shitty film school comment. So.
That's also something that I've noticed about Joe's work style too, is whenever we're doing a screening or anything, you're always either taking notes or, in this case, drawing pictures.
Oh yeah, it's a nervous tick.
It's awesome. Boner, stiff boner.
There's a pile of them back there, by the way.
Some doodles. I can't draw.
All right, so with season 15, the season this year, with a handful of new characters that have been introduced, what would you say, out of the antagonists and protagonists, was your favorite character to develop and write? This is going to the writers mainly.
So of the new characters, protagonists and antagonists, who are my favorite to write for?
Yeah, which one was your most favorite to develop and think, create?
I really like, the main two. Dylan is awesome to write for. I like how serious she is in this kind of absurd world, and how it kind of complements what's going on typically. She doesn't seem like a downer to me at all when she's in a scene. It always seems like a little fun addition. And then I love writing for Temple because he's like an aware villain. And that's like my favorite kind. It's like Timothy Dalton and Hot Fuzz. They're really embracing this whole I am evil thing. And that's always a lot of fun to write for. And also, it gets more exaggerated towards the end of the season, but man, he is a big fan of mixed metaphors and Shakespearean dialect, and I love all the over-the-top stuff. I'm not very subtle.
Thanks. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Who's your favorite protagonist, Miles, to write for?
Burnie.
Yeah.
Oh. I was wondering, were there any ever plans to have like a remake of season 9 from the Carolina's perspective, of her coming, meeting the Red versus Blue, and convincing them to rescue Church? And if there maybe is plans, and not waiting another 14 seasons for it?
Oh, are there any plans to do that? No, I wouldn't say, but there's always, with a show that runs this long, it is nice to find those gaps in the storyline where you can go back and fill something in. I mean, we did that on a prequel basis with the Freelancers, but yeah, no specific plans to do that in particular, but it's interesting. I mean, we know they have at least one major battle before they got to where Church was in the memory unit, so. But yeah, just like wanted to drive home. The whole purpose of season 9 was that, at least Church's side of it, was the recursive aspect of how he would try to solve this problem, how it just goes again and again and again and again. And I remember while we were making that, Inception came out, and I was like, God damn it. I was like, what are the chances that this movie would come out just as we're making this?
There was another moment like that too during season 12.
you wrote that fantastic episode with Church in Carolina, and we got to see what the world was like through the eyes of, through the eyes of Epsilon, with the slow-mo time. And I remember one night I got a text from you, and you're like, God damn it. Fucking X-Men and Quicksilver.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, we're in the middle of production on it. It came out in like 2 weeks, and you're like, oh, they're going to think we ripped them off or something.
Yeah,
Shit happens, man.
Yep.
Thank you for the question.
Hey, I'm Hagen Tracy. I was wondering, you guys have written a lot of characters throughout Red vs. Blue. Are there any that you guys have regretted killing off or potentially want to kill off?
Oh, jeez.
Do it.
Man, that's hard.
I think South could have been a much longer term villain. Yeah, she was just such a rotten character, and she died. Wrote it more so to show like the freelancers how just cold-blooded they are when Wash just shoots her mid-sentence. But yeah, I think South, if we'd have kept her around, she could have been a really great villain.
If I had to choose someone I regret killing, it'd probably be the counselor, actually. I wish we'd had more time to do some stuff with him, but that season's already way too long. At the time, there was we were wondering like if maybe 13 was going to be like, the end. And the counselor always felt like one loose end that never got tied up. Like he just somehow managed to like squirm his way away from all of it. And I felt like he deserved to get got. But in hindsight, it would have been cool to like be able to do more with him or, be able to see him used again. So yeah, if I had to choose somebody I regret, counselor, you could have done some more cool stuff, but you're also a bastard, so fuck you.
I don't want to talk about killing characters because I really don't want to spoil anything.
Damn. Matt, was there ever a character that you just wanted dead?
What? I'm sorry, what?
Is there a character you've ever just wanted dead?
No, just actors I want to fire.
Thank you for the question.
Thanks.
I think we're over here now. Are we over here now? Someone's making a dance. It's great. What's up? You look great.
Yep, not embarrassed at all. So first of all, big fan of the Mercs coming back. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
Second off, so this is really more of a question for the writers. Looking back retrospectively at arcs or even episodes, if you're new to writing the show, are there any that you would look back on and say, man, I wish I'd done that differently?
If I understood your question, is there anything we've written that we wish we could have kind of like written out differently? Was that the question?
Yeah, that.
I got one real quick off the top of my head. I really wish I had handled Carolina's injury differently in season 12. I hit this moment where I could not in my head at the time see how Carolina with like all of her super speed and everything could lose to Locus and Felix. I was like, she'd mop the floor with them with all those power-ups. And that worked in season 13 when her reliance on her suit enhancements became a problem. It was like, okay, this is like a really cool and interesting obstacle for her to overcome, and she has to rely on herself as opposed to her armor. That's a cool way to balance out character strength. Carolina getting stabbed in the leg kind of sucks. Like, I realized later, I was like, if I was watching a Justice League movie and halfway through, Batman just had his kneecap shattered, and that's why he had a hard time fighting the Joker, I'd be in my chair going, fucking come on! So, like, at the time, it seemed like, oh, this is a cool way to balance it out. In hindsight, I'm sure there was a better solution there. I definitely would change that.
Joe, any regrets?
Yeah, one big one. When I made the Mega Bloks episode of Red vs. Blue, I had Tucker throw the firecracker, and I've regretted that ever since. It really should have been Donut. It was so stupid. And I was like, God damn it. And I thought when they said I was going to direct season 15, everyone's going to get really mad. Be like, that guy? He got the firecracker wrong? But I guess you don't care.
Mine would be season 9. We were really tackling a higher level of animation than we ever had before for season 9. So something that got cut from the prequel parts of the Freelancer story was all of the Red versus Blue characters had their origin stories in the background of that. Like Griff was the driver of the car that they attack. And I really, more than anything else, I wish we'd stuck with the original plan for the silent blue freelancer who never says anything. That was originally going to be Sarge. Yeah. That, at the end of season 9, they were going to finally get him a helmet that was red that had a working speaker, and he goes, I like this way better. And then and the reason he never said anything the whole time is because the speaker just didn't work. But we pivoted it and made it Captain Flag.
I could never be blue. Don't be ridiculous. Ixnay on the oublié.
Every time Matt's in the booth, I get a little starstruck. Every single time. Every time he starts talking,
Hey,
I'm like,
you know what? I do want to say, like recording with Joe this season has been so fun and so interesting and so different, actually. And being in the booth, like I feel like you've really pushed everybody to do new stuff and try new things. And there's been a lot of times this season when I've been recording, and usually we'll do kind of like one warm-up pass. Like this is how we always do Red versus Blue. We'll do like one warm-up pass, and then we'll do 3 takes in a row that are slightly varied on a line. And then this year, like we'll be doing that, and then Joe will go, yeah, but give me one more and make it a little more like this or whatever. And I just think to myself, no, I'm pretty sure I fucking got it. I've been doing this for fucking 15 years, bro. But he pushes you, and honest to God, like I think this season is like, I feel like the best about my performance than I have in like forever. So thanks, Joe.
Cool, thank you.
I know the last audio session I had with Joe, I was doing this line. I don't remember what the line was, but it was very difficult. I just wasn't getting it. And then you were like, I feel like we're 99% of the way there. And in my head, I was like, all right, we're done then. I mean, like, that's it. You got it.
It's like the best line you have all season, though.
You're right.
That one's got to be 100. Everything else can be like 80.
We did get it. I'm grateful we did it again.
Hey, I'm going to be the asshole who shows up late and leaves early, but I got to go. So
Well, hey, that's because we're out of time.
Thanks, everybody. I'm rushing out.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you. Sorry we didn't get all the questions, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.